Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Fiolarin. Well, yesterday in Lagos, there was an event, as we have these events exploring options for advancement, for peace, and that kind of a thing. Well, there was this that was organized yesterday in Lagos. Journalists for Democratic Rights is the body. And they were working in conjunction with a New York-based Institute for International Education. Now, the long and short of the event yesterday, which was something of a talk shop, was to explore avenues, explore especially national and community frameworks, for not waiting for anybody else to get involved and explore options for peace and understanding. A lot of people were there. We got people ranging from Ohaneze Ndigbo, we got people from Ijaw World Congress, we got Mayati Allah, and in fact, speaking of, there were many more. There were about 150 people, and there were papers, and then they broke up into committees afterwards. But let me introduce two of the participants at yesterday's event. And in that sense, I welcome Dimm Uche Okwukwu, Secretary General of Ohaneze Ndigbo. You're very welcome, Dimm. Good to have you again. And sitting right next to him is sitting right next to him is Werinipre Noel Digifa, who is leader of the Ijaw World Congress.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Indeed, thank you very much for coming on as well. Yeah. The other gentleman that I was hoping to squeeze into studio would have been Alhaji Mekudi Usman. Alhaji Mekudi Usman is Secretary Mayati Allah in Lagos State, but we shall nevertheless still be able to hear from him. After agreeing that we could do this together and talk face to face, he then had to be suddenly called away, and the last we know, we were speaking to him in Abeokuta somewhere, and he's even en route to Ibadan. But we'll get him later on. Okay. If I'm Alhaji Mekudi.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you very much. We've made contact. So okay. I've just introduced your other colleagues that you were together yesterday, and in the fullness of time, we'll come back to you. Just stay with us, please, if you're watching now. Okay then. So now back to studio. Dimm, how? Well, there's sorts of conflicts across the nation. A lot of it perhaps is coming from misunderstanding and perceptions. Was that one of the main things that was thought could be explored and addressed yesterday?
Yes, and it is yes and yes.
Okay.
The whole essence and purpose of the meeting yesterday was to analytically make an inquiry and investigation into the sources of the crisis, and then try to find possible solutions, how to resolve the conflict. And of course, everybody was happy yesterday that we had a full hall. The Metiala was fully represented. Leaders came from Nupe, leaders came from Igala, leaders came from Kanuri.
That's right.
The Middle Belts, the Ijaw, the Igbo, the Yoruba, and of course it was a very fine outing. And we're happy because if you don't understand from the angle the person is coming from an organization, you may have a wrong impression about them. When the leader of the Metiala spoke and said, look, not every husband is bad, not every Fulani is bad. Just like you have bad people in Yoruba, you have in Igbo, you have in Ijaw, you have in the Middle Belt. You have people who rape, who kill, who kidnap. So we must try to treat criminals as criminals and not label because you are for example, you are an Igbo man steals, and you say the entire Igbos are thieves or they love money. That is, then you now allow the suspect to escape by giving him even ethnic protection. When once you use the word you are this, the people rally around, oh, you are persecuting a person. But if you single him out and allow the law to take its full course, then we will get justice.
Okay.
Two, the problem we identified was weak institutions in terms of law enforcement and the judiciary. So if the institutions are strengthened to apprehend criminals, treat them as criminals, either they are convicted or they pay fine or they are sentenced to death if they have killed somebody, and so on and so forth, then nobody will resort to self-defense again.
Okay.
Self-defense is a product of failure of institutions to address injustice.
Okay, then. Alhaji Mekudi, are you still with us? Alhaji Mekudi, are you still with us? Aha. Okay. And now, maybe you heard what, Dimm Uche Okwukwu just said there. We were talking before coming on air, Alhaji Mekudi Usman. You are Secretary, Mayati Allah, Lagos State Chapter, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, tell me, Alhaji Mekudi, what's your perspective? Because it's about solving ethnic tensions. There are those who say to us that, look, there is more politics in this thing than anything else. But you are in there. You are in Mayati Allah. What causes the problems if in Lagos, I think you're having it pretty easy. I don't think you guys have any problems in Lagos, but go ahead.
No.
Okay, speak to me. Go ahead, Alhaji.
Okay. So we here in Lagos, we are living in peace. And the problem that happening, anything that happens, they will revise this to Mayati Allah. And Mayati Allah we have what we are doing. We are breeders. We breed cattle, and anything happen, they will refer it to them. And I know that any tribe has their own bad eggs with them. What we're supposed to do, every tribe we call in bad eggs and sit down with them, try to sanitize them. And everybody, we know that what this criminality they are doing is bad. Which Fulani, in our own Fulani, we are trying to fetch all those bad eggs out from us, because those bad eggs, they are coming from somewhere. They disguise as a Fulani. And the few Fulani we have in our midst, we are trying to sanitize them, to tell them that they are breeders and they have what they're doing. I can't be breeding my cattle and leave my cattle behind who are doing any criminality or anything that will cause problem in the country. So we have to tell the government to come in to look and to fetch out all those bad eggs. But we are trying our best for the whole Nigeria. Anywhere you go, you saw Mayati Allah. We have an identification card with us that cover all the Mayati Allah members in the whole Nigeria. So no one day they caught somebody that do all this type of thing and with our own identification card with him. No.
Okay.
So that's why we are please, anything that wants to happen, let every tribe, let the government call all the tribes leaders and sit down with them, and everybody should sanitize his own bodies out, so that this country will stay in peace. Because without peace, nobody will stay in this country.
Okay. When we were speaking, Alhaji Mekudi, when we were speaking earlier before coming on air, you were mentioning that maybe people talk about Mayati Allah because you are, as you put it, not so highly educated. You said something.
Yes, I said why they are cheated, why we have been cheated, and all time they will be mentioned Fulanis. It's because we don't come out with our people, just keep silent. We don't come out in media and talk about what we are really doing in Nigeria, in this country. That's why anything that happens in Yoruba or Igbo, they will go to the media and shout, and all the whole world will hear. But we are not educated. We don't have major educated people. That's why anything happens, when they shout, they will not listen. Everywhere we pick up is Fulani killers, is Fulani kidnappers. And Yoruba kidnappers are there. Igbo kidnappers are there. No one day you saw they are shouting their names. This tribe, they are kidnappers, they are kidnappers, they are kidnappers. The tribe we have in Nigeria, they have bad names among them. So we have to come here together. And every tribe, they will look for their leaders. And let everybody sit down and fetch their bad eggs out among them. Let this country live in peace. But not just Fulani, sir.
Okay, I hear you. Now, were you encouraged, before I let go of you, were you encouraged by what you saw yesterday, the all sorts of, you know, the Sarki Fulani of Lagos State was there, he spoke.
Yes.
We have Otumba Gani Adams, Are Gani Adams.
No, Lagos State, Sarki Fulani of Abattoir, not Lagos State.
Okay, you know.
Lagos State, Sarki Fulani of Abattoir.
Okay, Sarki Fulani of Abattoir. Okay,
yeah.
Now all these people that are all concerned with resolving crises all over the country, they were there. They had their local representative. Were you
Yes.
Were you happy that something could come of this?
Yes, I was happy with that gathering yesterday.
It was a useful gathering to you?
Yes. We are happy when we have that type of gathering. When we have that type of gathering, everybody will understand that it's not only Fulani are the bad eggs in this country, or they are the only killers or kidnappers in this country.
Okay. You know, I want to thank you, Alhaji Mekudi Usman. I know you would have been here if you could, but duty calls. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay.
All right, then. Now, thank you, gentlemen, and especially to Werinipre, Noel, Digifa. I couldn't afford to lose that call, as you know. Now, you are leader of the Ijaw World Congress. We're talking about crises generally, not just in one place. The Ijaw World Congress, what are the problems of that one generally? Because it doesn't get very much airplay today, nowadays, when they are talking about crises anywhere. Somehow things are a bit quiet in this period on the Ijaw World Congress. Does that reflect the actuality?
No, really. Initially, like what happened yesterday, my brother was sitting by my left-hand side, made a point yesterday on his own lecture. He said, we must speak the truth. And if the truth prevails, then there will be reconciliation. And we learn these things from history. We are Ijaw people are victim of most of these things in this society. Let me say, count from the days of OD. On the 23rd, last week, a military invasion was in Azagbene, in the Ekirimo Kingdom, Ekirimo local government, Azagbene in Ekirimo, where army invaded a community, sea pirates get to shell location and attack 2 soldiers. And we condemn that the way the soldiers were killed, nobody will accept it because they left their family to go and work for their daily bread. These 2 men these 2 gentle soldiers were killed. And what I expected the Nigerian army to do was to go on thorough investigation. But they forget about going for investigation, rather to go and burn down a whole community, like the way they did that at the time of OD.
OD was in 1999.
1999,
and,
11th of November. That was the OD genocide.
And the incident that you are talking about now, alleging, as you put it, that the Nigerian army went and completely destroyed.
Yeah, they destroyed a community called Azagbene.
This was on the 23rd of July.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But as you say, there was an incident before then.
Yeah,
you think the
2 soldiers were killed.
You think the army, yes, the 2 soldiers were actually
killed, and they made away with their rifle.
And
everybody,
they even made away with the weapon,
weapon, yeah.
of the soldiers.
And the Ijaw Youth Council condemned it. And every Ijaw man condemned it. But now what we expected the army to do was to go on just full investigation and go after the sea pirates. Because they have a lot of gunboats in Bayelsa.
Because this was the work of sea pirates.
Sea pirates, yeah. And then Like what I was giving the references of what happened where a general was killed in Plateau State, and the man's body was found in a well. And this body was recovered. None of even the neighborhood who owns the well was arrested. Then if you remember, just of recent, Bade was killed. He was killed in Nasarawa in the community. But the army still went back on investigation to get those people that were involved arrested. But coming to Ijaw issue is that every time it's just according to what Fela said, is born, which is not going on well.
Does that mean that you think communication has broken down? By the way, tell me, was it ever acceptable, average, if not excellent?
About?
The communication between the community and the authorities?
Well, probably it is the authority that is there that have to make out a communication gap, because the soldiers have been living there. They are part and part of that community there. And the cell location is a bit, some meters away from that community and where this incident happened. So we expect the Nigerian army to sit down and go after these pirates. There is no crime that will happen that within a 30 minutes or 2 hours, that with community policing and with the SSS and the police, we must get to the root of the people who caused the crime. Indeed. And go after them.
Okay.
Not innocent people. As I'm talking to you, the community is blocked by military invasion now. They don't get access of water, nothing. And we are here in Lagos discussing about peace. But let me come back to the reality of what happened yesterday. I made a presentation. I said my presentation is that we must look for what is happening within ourselves. But like the body language of Mr. President, who is a Fulani today, because if this Meiti Allah, not Meiti Allah has maybe sometimes made some political statements.
No, one thing that I'm sure you know is that Meiti Allah, sometimes called Macban, is Meiti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria.
Yes.
You know.
So, when you give an several press statements.
Actually, it might be a very moot point, but there's a sense in which you could even say that perhaps the Meiti Allah Cattle Breeders, even though the Sultan of Sokoto is actually at the head of Meiti Allah, that, I don't know, when you just made the link that the president is a Fulani and then you started talking about Meiti Allah, I wanted to sort of make the difference between cattle breeders.
Yes, breeders. Can I come in now?
Yes, please.
I'm giving an incident that happened in Bayelsa State.
Okay.
The reaction of how the people reacted within a certain period of time. We're just getting, without looking for these people, burn down a whole community.
Okay.
But incident like this has been happening in several places. What is the reaction of those people? You know what happened in Plateau State, where herdsmen raided a community and people were killed. Thousands were killed. And you saw what happened in Benue State. There was a blood flow in Benue. You look at them, the reaction of immediate action. What was the response? So sometimes I'm really even a bit worried that probably the people who are close to the aim of affair are not directing the right information to the body. Where the communication, that is where I'm coming to you now. The communication gap, there's communication level of broken.
Okay.
Because if you remember during the time of 1985, which was the Metasine riot, when Buhari was the president, Buhari co-opted this program, this crisis within a single of an hour, because he was fully on ground and he was in command. So from that aspect, people see his life of genuineness and honesty. So I'm not condemning that he is because of their, but we've seen several actions, but this time around, he has health challenges going up and down one way or the other, and ruling as a president is a democratic government. So to my own understanding, there is a link of communication and information that's not going on well with almost all institutions.
Okay. Dimm, can I come back to you on this? From what he is saying, I believe one of the one aspect, at least, of the focus of yesterday's gathering was how do the communities, using community frameworks, even if you want, even national frameworks, how do they start the process of engaging without waiting for if you want, government or a more formalized kind of, intervention amongst themselves, the people engaging with each other. Was that a focus? That Mayati Allah, for instance, is non-governmental, might be engaging with IWC, might be engaging with Ohaneze Ndigbo, without waiting for government to come and call any roundtable. Do you think there's much, much mileage in pursuing those kind of trends?
Of course, first we must thank the leadership of JODA, the Journalists for Democratic Rights, Comrade Wala Adoya and others.
Yes, Journalists for Democratic Rights.
Let me reduce this. Let me liken it. Let me bring it down. Let's agree that TVC is a community, and there is problem in TVC, insecurity around. Must they wait for police, DSS, civil defense on the people in the neighborhood? We meet and say, can't we discuss how to find solutions to these insecurity problems? That is what the various communities within the Nigerian community, larger Nigerian community, did yesterday.
Okay.
We agree there is problem. There is insecurity. There is problem all over. It's not only here, only in the middle belt, where there is the center of the place in Benue, Plateau, and so on. There is insecurity across the country. So the people now agree, Jordan agreed to bring the people together with the Institute of International Education. Discuss, meet yourselves and talk. And it is good. You will see, some people will say, oh, I will not sit with members of the Meti Allah. Oh, every Meti Allah member is a murderer, is a rapist, is a kidnapper. It's not true. They are not responsible for the kidnapping going on in most parts of the South, South, and Southeast. They are not. Evidence has shown. But meeting with them will give us the opportunity to say, my brother, my sister, I think if we do this, we will arrive at this.
Which is the point that Mekuri was making.
Yes, if we do this, we'll arrive at this. That was what we did yesterday. And we saw them say, look, on our own, we have handed over.
Sort of networking amongst yourselves, among the different communities.
The
networking,
man said
right?
yesterday, he said yesterday, on our own, we have handed over culprits, suspects to police. We have even on our own asked those who believe are bad eggs to leave.
Oh, that is the Mayete Allah
Of course,
spokesperson.
he said that yesterday, and security men were there. He said they can ask. We have asked those who we suspect are bad eggs to leave. That in every conflict, there is no winner, no loser. Assuming there is a problem, my cow or cows will be killed. I will be injured. I may be maimed. I move with my wife and children in the bush. Those who breed these cattle, they may be harmed, they may be kidnapped, they may be lost. On the other side, the other parties will lose too. And I think what has caused this problem is what I call mutual suspicion without mutual trust.
Well, there can't be mutual trust if there's mutual suspicion.
We must, in the presence of mutual mistrust, suspicion, begin to cultivate a culture of mutual trust.
And that can only come about.
That can only come by the kind of thing we did yesterday. And I encouraged Wala Adoye yesterday. I said, look, you've been a comrade that we've known for more than 20 years. Duplicate this up to the northeast. As for state protection, people must start meeting and start discussing.
Okay. Wale Adeoye is a journalist, and he's actually been on this show before, and he's also well known to some of our viewers on another of our programs, Journalist Hangout, you know, so there's that. He was concerned in, you know, working on this, Journalists for Democratic Rights, you know. He gave his an address, but the governor of Lagos was also represented, and the governor of Lagos had an address, and the theme I can read from the program here, that is Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, was ethnic relations and the imperative of peace building and sustainable development in Lagos. So his concern naturally was Lagos. But as you've said, this is something that everybody around the country knows about, this whole tension and this whole ethnic misunderstandings that sometimes leads to, you know, the worst case scenario. So there was a sense in which it was Lagos, the little bit, if you want, between Wale Adeoye and the American-based organization to sort of begin something of a dialogue, I understand, on community and national frameworks without necessarily waiting for the authorities. That's commendable. You were saying you want him to go around the country with
Of course, naturally, he has to. The whole of Nigeria is like a body. If Lagos is in peace and River State is not in peace, it will lead to problem. Why I say this is, for example, if there is a situation of violence in a part of the country, there must be movement of population.
There was?
Or movement of population from that crisis zone to a peaceful zone. And of course, as they move, those who are involved in that crisis, some may move in with their arms, move in with their mentality of violence and so on, and they duplicate that in peaceful regions. It has happened, even the crisis we have here today, there are unquestionable, it is unquestionable that arms have moved from the Maghreb, Libya, and so on and so forth into this part of the world. And of course, if you look at the ISIS of the Northeast, you see that it's prone to the crisis in the Chad, Libya, Sudan area. But the point I'm making, sir, is that we need to duplicate this in other places, and we need to come down and get to the community-based organizations, the CBOs. The CBOs must be involved. Where you do this now, you begin to get even the community development or town union leaders, you begin to get representative of the royal palace, the chiefs themselves, the clergy have to be involved. And we must, by so doing, we reduce alarmism.
Okay.
That in the sense that already, if you say, if something is happening, you just say, oh, these people are violent, without giving them the opportunity to be heard. Yeah. You've pushed them away. Okay. They will never come to you again.
We're going to continue with this. I've got to go on a break now, and when we come back, we'll include your calls as well. Stay with us, please. Okay, welcome back. I have in studio Werinipre Noel Digifa, leader Ijaw World Congress, as well as Dimm Uche Okwukwu, Secretary General of Ohaneze Ndigbo. And we have these two gentlemen in Lagos and many others, as a matter of fact, because there was an event yesterday, and it was about exploring, you know, options for peace, alternative options, you know, even communities engaging among themselves and thereby prevent a lot of the things that will happen, and then we have to come and sort out. Prevention can be better than cure, and this can come about via networking, such as I believe an attempt at was made yesterday. Now, in terms of understanding, you were just explaining, Dimm, how it has to go right down to the communities, let everybody be involved. Okay, Werinipre, sometimes when there's no understanding, for instance, you know, recently we just heard a call from a group calling itself, not calling itself, it is the Northern Elders Forum, saying that, you know, Fulanis in one part should come, you know, come back home if they're not feeling comfortable. And of course, the presidency was quick to say that, just scratch that. Nobody has the right anywhere to do any such thing, to make any such call. And even the Northerners themselves, in fact, when we speak to Alhaji Mekudi again, I'll probably ask him about it. Even from within the body, the so-called body that was being, quote unquote, defended, said, we never sent you that message. You never consulted with us. You're just increasing our problems. So there's a danger here, and that's why I took it back to what Dimm said about all the smaller the communities, go down. Yeah. Take it down. Let everybody be aware. So nobody can just come from somewhere and put something in the newspaper and And then everybody believes that, oh, this is what these people are saying. It's not people, it's individuals in their organizations that can cause confusions if we ourselves don't have the information that we need.
Yeah. In that sense, you know, Uche said something. He said, what are the causes of this problem is that there are weak institutions, which is the judiciary and some other points he gave here. And if somebody make that kind of statement and call in, you know that that would cause a lot of tension all over the whole country. If there is an institution, they will call those people not just to order. Then they have to invite them. Why they make that statement? Because making that statement, even the Igbos living in that area will be scared. The ones living in Castina, living in the other far part north will be scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are the people are calling their
Because
people from that
concepts
council.
of reprisals begin to float
reprisals
around.
will fall around. So based on that reason, if there is an institution, you immediately you call, Mr. John, why do you wrote this type of line? You know. So at the end of the day, the SSS is there, the police is there to arrive, to invite them, to call them to order to why, to give reasons. And if they are called to order, just not saying mere statements, because that will cause a lot of havoc. That's maybe dissension whereby everybody's trying to go their own way. So that cannot even happen in a good society. That is lawlessness. So that things like that should be called to order in a proper manner, not by just making an ordinary statement. So that's my own belief about it.
You know, Dimm, you were saying earlier that, and Alhaji Mekudi, when we spoke the other time, also brought that matter up, that people just sort of stereotype people. And if one Yoruba man does something, then the Yorubas have done this.
Yeah.
If one individual does something, oh, this is what Miyati Allah is all about. That oftentimes that can be a problem. So the question I have is that before people can lump people together like this, it's because there's a certain prevailing concept on the ground. I don't know if your membership work, those the good ones, we're talking about bad eggs now and then, of course bad eggs brings up the notions of the good eggs, are the quote-unquote good eggs cooperating with the authorities so that the work of the authorities can be easier? Or does the ethnic thing take over? And I know this is a sort of speculative question. Does it take over and people can't bring themselves to do the needful because he's my brother, you know, he's from my place. Let it not be me that will go and give the authorities. You know, it's a very difficult area. Could you give me your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, the first call for, or what I would call verbal expulsion of verbal expulsion by any northern group was banned, the one aired by the Northern Youth Consultative Forum.
Okay, I beg your pardon. It was the Northern Youth Consultative Forum that the elders now said they endorsed.
Now, this is the recent one. You remember that 2 years ago, the Northern Youth Consultative Forum, led by our friend, joint friend, Yerima Shetima, they met in Kaduna and asked Igbos to leave. Luckily, the vice president, Professor Yomi Osibanjo, was then on the ground. The president was, regrettably and unfortunately, sick and was abroad. The leadership of the Ohaneze Ndigbo met with the vice president in the presidential villa, and I was in that delegation. And we were reassured that the country have the capacity to protect all Nigerian citizens wherever they are. And different consultations was made. The Ohaneze leadership visited various states in the country, and then the northern leaders, several northern leaders, when you spoke and said, look, nobody's asking anybody to go anywhere. It means that you're just dividing the country indirectly. So it is quite sad and regrettable that elders will say, what do you this? And of course, you see, it is not when it was rejected. Why I say this is that there are people who are interested in bringing this country to an end, bringing it to a disaster. But my fear is that over 150 million people if this country is engulfed in crisis. Will overwhelm the entire West Africa. It will move to Central Africa, will overwhelm Central Africa. We'll move even, our population will shift beyond across the desert into Libya and North Africa. Because if you take Africa and put together, Africa is about 700 million people. And Nigeria alone accounts for about 180 million. So it is something that will be unmanageable. So my advice is that the elders should help the president and commander-in-chief to reduce tension in the land. Their utterances too are heightening tensions. Their utterances are heightening tensions. So when you make this kind of...
Is it that they don't see the kind of thing that you are speaking about, which I think is just there for everybody to see?
Of course, you know that even in times of peace, there are people who benefit from violence, crisis, who trade with violence. Even when there are people, even abroad, who lobby to sell arms. They order the arms lobby group and so on.
Yeah, and you can't do that in peacetime.
I can't do that in peacetime. If there's no war, will you sell arms? So there are people who want this crisis. But I must state that those of you who are members of the fourth realm of the estate, what I call the guidance of the conscience of man, should play a lot of role in ensuring that you don't highlight divisionist tendencies. When such statements are issued, you can even put it page 15 in the newspaper, and, and it goes to nowhere. But when you put it as a major, then everybody is called. Then before you know, fear. The man whose wife is pregnant in Wori will say, or Port Harcourt will say, start going. My children start going. I can stay if there is problem. It happened when they issued that statement, Yerima Shetima and others. A lot of our people said, okay, my children can go, my wife can go, let me stay. If it is death, let me die alone. But we thank God, we thank the presidency, the vice president, and the chief of staff, and the secretary of government, and all the ministers. We thank equally our own, the ministers from the southeast, Dr. Chris Ngige, Ogbonneyono, and others, Governor Rochas Okrocha then, and the leadership of the party, Ashowaju, all of them intervened and played a lot of role to ensure that the matter was resolved. But we must take this campaign to the grassroots. So it's not only the educated people. Because as I'm talking to you, a lot of people are in the farm, they're in the market, they're not listening to television, they're not listening to radio, they don't read paper.
They need
but
to
if
know.
you take it down and say, look, nobody has right to expel you from any part of the country. The police is there to protect you. The DSS, the civil defense is there to protect you. The judiciary is there to punish
criminals.
To try criminals.
To try criminals. If they are found guilty, they are convicted and sentenced according to the law. Then people will be reassured.
Yes.
And that brings us back. There must be a strong campaign to strengthen the institutions in Nigeria.
Okay. But to come to you, Noel, on that same question that I asked Dimm, whether membership, for instance, of the World Congress, whether they feel a need to cooperate to the best of their ability with the authorities, because outsiders can't really do very much, you know, with societies. They don't know how it works. They might infiltrate and all of that. But if some people are given a given body a bad name, is it a possibility that in outing these bad eggs, you could cooperate with the authorities, or is that being done? Or how would it be frowned upon? Yeah. That, look, we're all one blood. You can't be telling the authorities anything about our movements.
Yeah, we must treat a criminal as a criminal. Treat criminals, but the police is there. The judiciary is there. The army will be enforced when it is beyond the police, whereby these things will be identified. If there is a crisis, the police the army have to go in. If the police cannot go in, waging, the army have to go in to see that the cop even get. Nobody's above arrest in this world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But is it possible to even prevent incidents by elders, you know, key players being in constant touch with?
When there is law and order, people will not make all trances negatively. There is no law and order. That is why you see people, everybody has the right to open his mouth, to say whatever thing he wants to say. There is governance. We have chain of governance that have been, something is missing. We must realize that. If we don't realize that, because one thing is that you can be a president and the PA to the president will give the papers that needful for the president to read. The president, the chief of general, chief of commander in the whole Nigeria. There are things what he wants to know that they will allow him to know. There are things they don't want him to know that people will not know, the public will not know. So even there are news that the president will be there that is interested, that he want to listen, that is when the medical doctor of the president will tell him, say, because of your health, you need to go and rest. Because they don't want him to hear that hour that news is going to be blown air. So there is a lot of way they are going to prevent the president to see most of these things that are happening in this country.
Yeah, but if the body itself, for example, we're talking about IWC now.
Yeah.
Is it acceptable for it to proactively engage with the authorities? You know,
the authorities are there that because of their interests, when they know that you want to come and block what they are doing it secretly without the knowledge of that authority. They will block you at all cost. They will not allow you to be. There are a lot of things that are happening in this country that the president is not aware. I'm not holding brief for him.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows governance.
But I was pursuing it from the point of view of usually.
Yeah, I understand what you are saying. We will make
an
effort like now.
Because maybe because the difficult question here is that sometimes, how do I out my brother? I don't like what he's doing.
Like
he's a member of a fraternity that I don't approve of at all, but that is his wahala. I'm not going to say anything. For example, that kind of a thing.
I gave a reference yesterday. I said, see, some of us are always at the newspaper. We are always at the hair. But did they get to their own village?
Okay.
Some don't even go to their village. Even yesterday, I spoke to most of the Mietihala members that, do you people get to your membership at the general body over there? I questioned them. So that at the end of the day, what we are discussing here should be also passed to them, and the danger ahead of what they are going through here, that they are in a land where other people are mixed up. So those are some of the issues. So it will depend on what the Mr. President will hear. And Mr. President, nobody wants to rule this country and say be a failure. Once you are managing TVC as a studio, you don't want to manage TVC as a failure. So if you get the fact this is how TVC will go, you make it right. President will not be one to say, okay, I want to endanger the life of these people. No. I'm not holding brief for him. No. But one thing is that many things that are happening, the people around him are not giving him proper information to me. Well, yeah. So that's why communication.
That's the way you see
I see it.
You know, because,
because you cannot
you can't do very much without good information. And if we're being assured from the presidency,
because how can somebody?
The presidency is more than one man.
Yeah, one.
If you're being assured
even
from
to
the
run
presidency,
a state and a community is a problem. How can somebody just one day say, oh yeah, today now if you go to Azagbeni as I'm talking, the army is there. But if there is called, they will call the chief of army staff, and say, this is what is happening, that this is what is going on. You say, what is happening? They will look for, say, where are the people who committed that crime? They will go after them.
Okay.
Others are not, communication breakdown everywhere.
Okay.
So we have a problem. We have to talk, we have to find a way to look for a solution, not a solution.
Okay, this was what was going on. This was the purpose that you were meeting for Dimm yesterday. Yeah. Where does it all end up? Because I understand that you broke up into sessions, you know, to further consider some issues. Yeah. How do we make sure that it wasn't just another talk shop, and that this is actually a seed that can germinate and flower into, you know, the kind of ideals that you were pursuing yesterday?
Yeah. Thank you. Let me say something. Nobody wants to be labeled. Nobody will be happy that his community is labeled. So the Fulanis, who, to a large extent, in terms of perception, are now labeled, are not happy. The president being a Fulani is not even happy that I'm the president, my tribe, my nation, my ethnic group is being labeled. I think they are desirous to be delabeled. And they want to be proactive. And that is why when the section broke into committees, one of the recommendations that came from one of the subcommittees is take this campaign to the grassroots.
Okay.
Take it to the grassroots, get literature generated even in the language of the people. For example, the native language of the Yoruba, the Igbo, the Fulani, the Hausa, the Tiv.
So that's why a lot of traditional rulers were also involved.
Of course, you get it so that the people can read. Then involve the radio, the private radio, the state radio, which is the people listening more. Then get the newspaper, even the soft papers that you sell like 50 naira in the local places. A lot of people don't have 200 naira to buy a paper or 250. They can buy the one of 50 naira or 100 naira. Get it done. Let people know.
So there should be an information drive.
Yes,
to saturate the place with information.
So that is one of the subcommittees recommended. Another subcommittee agreed that it is important to engage the security agencies so that they too will know to a large extent how to manage, not only to protect the people, how to manage crisis situation. There is a subcommittee too.
You know this one, without even knowing it, this is what I was emphasizing on, that the security agencies, they need engagement from you people.
Yeah, they certainly, we must admit that the security agencies in Nigeria are under intense pressure. The crisis across the country is overwhelming them. In terms, this is a security that, kidnapping is something novel. To the magnitude it is now, it's novel. It was not within, the original thing we used to have is that one person, you have problem, you kidnap one person, and of course you see it will happen like once in a year, you hear that kind of news. But we're talking about a situation where you are talking about kidnapping on highways, buses are kidnapped, whole passengers are kidnapped, they collect your ATM card and go and withdraw your money from the bank. And then, and so, somebody is kidnapped in Port Harcourt, you are asking for the ransom to be paid somewhere in another region so that you cannot trace who collected the money. So the security agencies need to equally be empowered, need to be trained. It's not even it is not even terrorism now. Terrorism is that you have a terrorist you are chasing. He wants to kill you and you want to kill him. The kidnapper is not a terrorist. He's somebody using modern technology, telephone, to commit crime. He has taken his victim, kept him somewhere, handed him over to somebody, now stay somewhere to collect the money, and then use phone again to say release. So many things, collaboration will be there, even with the communication agencies, NTA, NTN and so on, Airtel and so on. They will have to be, and of course they need to work with the security agencies. Yeah. If this information need to be managed. Now, the community-based organizations too, the vigilantes have to be established. But the one thing I must confess, I will never support any vigilante that is given the right to punish and kill. You must, their power should end with arrest and handing over to lawful authorities. That is all.
In fact, I don't believe that we have any such in Nigeria. Yes.
So you must,
unless you know of any such.
You must hand over.
Vigilantes, the police have said that they can only even operate under the umbrella of the police.
Yes, of course, if you arrest a suspect, you hand him over to the police will now take him to court. He will be prosecuted either by the DPP or the police legal team. That is, and of course, the CBOs will help, and the ethnic organizations can help too, put structures in place for intelligence gathering. Intelligence gathering in the sense that inform the police, inform the DSS, inform the civil defense about somebody you believe or suspect, and they will have the facilities to arrest, interrogate, and find out whether the person is a criminal or not. And if they believe rightly and there are facts, you'll be prosecuted.
Okay.
So it is important that all of us put our feet on the ground, because of course, whether we agree or not, crisis have weakened growth in the economy across board, because there is a direct nexus between insecurity and food production in Nigeria. All the farming communities where these crises have engulfed, in recent times, people have, even from communities that originally don't buy food, they are now buying food in the market. There is this direct nexus between insecurity and food production. And when that exists, it leads to unemployment, it leads to rural-urban migration. People drift from the rural areas to the urban center. And of course, it heightens the tension there too. When people, you get to a place, you are not doing anything, you are frustrated, you run into crime, you run into drug, it creates more insecurity.
Indeed.
It is a web.
I get what you're saying. And Werinipre, the other thing is, I've been harping at it really that, yeah, we can have all these conversations and all these meetings and all these talk shops, but at the end of the day, there's the people themselves. And there's so many peoples in Nigeria. Now, whereas you are taking an egalitarian view, an enlightened view about it, and indeed that is the view that is put forward, that we are all one. You don't always see that, let it be said. And then you find a bunch of people, it's so easy to incite against people that perhaps are not like you. And then before you know where you are, you have a bunch of quote-unquote innocent women lifting aloft placards that you know they didn't write, and saying that
they cannot even read.
And they might not even be able to read. Really? You see some of them holding them upside down. So the XYZ must go. We don't want XYZ. And that kind of, so it's a problem. And clearly it shows that there are people behind these so-called protests. That is a clear and present danger that could spiral out of control, do you not think?
Yeah, you see, the problem is that we that are enlightened, some of us are thinking even beyond Nigeria, not ethnic differences. I'm a Pan-Africanist. When Gaddafi was alive, I have several visits with him as somebody who I believe that was a true African. You understand? So some of us have think beyond ethnic differences. And ethnic differences, then today we are coming back to our bet. Your house, you have to protect your house.
Okay,
at the end of the day.
That's important.
That is worth because you will get back home, you must get back home and have your night rest. That is where we are. Whereby, see, today, till today, if you talk about South Africa, I have 6 years visa in South Africa. I decided not to go to South Africa anymore because the hell is like a tutu that I believe that has not making anybody move off this killing of Nigerian and foreigners makes me to believe that they are part of it. You understand? So if you look at, if only somebody like Maluma, who is a young man who is growing, who is outspoken about it. So some of us have grown even beyond Nigeria level. Okay. So now this placards where you are is that...
Yeah, these inciting people who don't really know what's involved, but they're just told that this one is not from us, therefore he must go.
We are not sometimes saying these things just because I'm an Ijaw man to protect, but it's my duty to protect my people.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Because till today,
but not to get xenophobic.
Yeah. I cannot go to somewhere and say because we are Ijaw people today, no Fulani should come to our land. No. Before yesterday, the early 70s, we were living with the Fulani that comes to our place. We call them down Fulani. We used to play with them. But now you look at Fulani as now. Tomorrow I pray because if you look at what Obasanjo wrote, they are underrating Obasanjo from whatever thing he does because he's not part of this government. You don't do that. He's an elected statesman. If he made a presentation, the government have to view it and you bring some small children who doesn't know their left and right to come and counter what he has said. He sat down as a human being, one-time president, one-time military. He has been to prison.
You think people should pay plenty of attention
to what we are doing because everything is politicizing issues. That is one of the biggest problems we have in this country.
The politicization of these issues. Well, I want to thank you very much, Werinipre, Noel, Digifa, leader, Ijaw Youth Congress. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
I'm an Ijaw leader, just Congress.
An Ijaw leader? Yeah. Okay, but you're also associated with Ijaw World Congress. Okay, so let me just say that again now. Leader, Ijaw people.
Because it's my duty to protect my people.
Okay, then. And Dimm Uche Okwukwu, Secretary General, Ohaneze Ndigbo. Thank you very much for coming on as well.
Uche is from a very small community.
So thank you very much, gentlemen. Okay, so that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Fiolarin. Bye-bye for now.